The Liberal MP for Edmonton Centre and former Employment Minister Randy Boissonnault is a liar and a fraud, and he was just kicked out of Trudeau's cabinet.
This Prime Minister in 9 years doubled housing costs, doubled the debt, doubled gun crime, doubled food bank use, and up until a minute ago, he had a minister with a double identity. The Prime Minister knew that the minister was directing his business illegally from inside cabinet. He knew the minister had claimed there was another Randy when there was no other Randy. He knew that the minister had falsely claimed to be Indigenous in order to take money away from real Indigenous people, and yet he stood by him up until yesterday. Why is it that he always stands up for corruption on his own side?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the member for Edmonton Centre has stepped down from cabinet to focus on clearing these allegations.
Oh, but that is not enough. Randy Boissonnault should be removed from the Liberal caucus, and then he should resign in shame.
My name is Randy Boissonnault. I'm the Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance, but I'm also known as Strong Eagle Man in the Cree community.
If you agree with me, go to cocainerandy.com and sign the petition.
Know that his company was applying for contracts claiming to be 100% Indigenous owned when Randy Boissonnault himself has said that that's not the case, that he was falsely claiming to have been Indigenous, thereby disenfranchising and disadvantaging Indigenous-owned.
Now, there may be people out there who need more convincing, so let me go through the timeline of the saga of the man I now call Pocahontas. Randy Boissonnault was first elected as a Liberal MP back in 2015. He was kicked out when he lost his re-election in 2019, and then he won his seat back in 2021. Now, at the time, Randy checked a lot of identity boxes for the Liberals, and we know that's really important to them. He was one of 5 openly gay MPs elected in 2015, and he got special identity points for being a rare Liberal from Alberta and extra points for being a gay Indigenous Liberal from Alberta. It made him a very important part of Trudeau's cabinet. And Randy, well, he leans right into that. He loves to use his identity to try to colonize rural Alberta communities with his radical LGBTQ agenda. Thankfully, it's just another thing that Randy has failed at. Now, while Randy was on hiatus from federal politics from 2019 to 2021, he started a health PPE import business at the opportune time that his friends in Ottawa were mandating PPE and lockdown restrictions. Randy started a business with a man I would describe as the end stage form of humanity, the ultra-androgynous Stephen Anderson, whom Randy claims to have just met on a plane. Isn't that convenient? Now, after Randy got reelected, he was not supposed to be running the day-to-day operations of Global Health Imports, or GHI. But evidence suggests he was. Conservative MPs dug up text message evidence of Randy running the operations of GHI. Not to worry, apparently it was just another Randy who worked at GHI, who happened to be in Vancouver running the business while Liberal MP Randy Boissonnault was in Vancouver for a caucus retreat, if you believe that nonsense. And of course, nobody did. And when the other Randy could not be produced, the story had to change. And then it was not Randy in those text messages, but an autocorrect of somebody else's name.
Finally, with regards to the infamous text message featured by a global news story, the other Randy, I hope the members of the committee can understand that this was an unfortunate autocorrect suggesting it was Randy. On a final point, I would like to say that I am happy to share those messages and the correct name of the individual in the text with the committee members in camera only.
Mr. Anderson, who's Randy?
As I said in my opening remarks, I would be delighted to share that information with you in camera only, simply based on the turmoil that I have gone through in my personal life.
Sir, that's not how this works. You're obligated to provide fulsome answers to the committee. I'm going to ask you again, who's Randy?
Randy, as I said in my opening statement, was an autocorrect.
Okay. I don't think I want to get into asking you what you think an autocorrect is, but I can tell you that this isn't that. This isn't that. It was Randy Boissonnault. It was Randy Boissonnault. There's only one Randy who's been involved in your company. You've said his name is Randy Boissonnault. You, sir, are the person who said Randy's name. Is it your testimony today that how many times do you say it? 9 references to Randy? Every one of those 9 is an autocorrect?
Yes. Randy Boissonnault was not involved with our operation or in any business relation after September of 2021.
Well, you certainly have said 2 different things. So were you lying then, or are you lying now?
I am not lying in regard to Randy not being involved with the business after September of 2021.
I don't believe you. So we'll just get that out of the way because your story doesn't add up.
Sure. While the other Randy was running GHI then was getting sole source contracts from Elections Canada for PPE. Isn't that a convenient little thing? Randy's in the House of Commons, making sure lockdowns carry on for as long as possible and that you have to wear a mask to vote. And then he gets to be the guy who sells the masks to Elections Canada. And as a little side quest in all of this, Global Health Imports is also involved in multiple fraud investigations for taking deposits on PPE that was ultimately never delivered. Oh, but that didn't get Randy one a demotion. It actually got him a promotion in the Liberal caucus to be the lead minister on Jasper wildfire rebuild. He just keeps failing upward, doesn't he? It was revealed also earlier this week that GHI shares a physical post office box with a woman involved in cocaine trafficking, earning Randy the moniker of Cocaine Randy.
Speaker, I'm sure that I was referring to the other Randy as Cocaine Randy.
But if you thought we were done, we're not even close. Randy and GHI received those preferential federal contracts because Randy has claimed to be Indigenous to take advantage of the preferential contract awards to Indigenous-owned companies within the federal government. Randy even sits in the Liberal Indigenous caucus. And when he was once pushed on that, he said, well, my adoptive family is Métis. Randy has also said that his great-grandmother was a Cree woman. Randy even offered his Indigenous name at a press conference held alongside Chief Billy Morin of the Enoch Cree First Nation.
My name is Randy Boissonnault. I'm the Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance, but I'm also known as Strong Eagle Man in the Cree community. And I'm delighted to be here at Enoch Cree Nation, Chief. And I would like to acknowledge the territory that we are on is on Treaty 6 lands. And I'd like to recognize Chief Billy Morin for your hospitality and your partnership across so many files on behalf of your people and on behalf of Indigenous peoples in this part of Turtle Island.
Now, as yet another side quest in this story, and there are just so many, I should tell you that former Chief Billy Morin of Enoch Cree First Nation is now running for the Conservatives in the riding right next to Randy's. But as it turns out, through careful examination of archival records, Randy's great-grandma, not Métis, German.
I was adopted into an Indigenous family, and I have never claimed Indigenous status. I joined Indigenous Caucus because I was representing many Indigenous people in our community and many Indigenous Albertans, and I felt it was very important to be an ally to Indigenous peoples in our city and in our province.
Now, Randy has drawn criticism and mockery from all sides of the political spectrum. Conservatives are getting booted out of the House of Commons for calling him names and making fun of him.
At the conclusion of asking his question, as he was sitting down, called the Minister of Employment and Workforce Development Cocaine Randy. That is extremely unparliamentary, and I ask you, Mr. Speaker, to ask him to withdraw that remark. Thank you very much.
Mr. Barrett, I have to name you for disregarding the authority of the chair. Pursuant to the authority granted to me under Standing Order 11, I order you to withdraw from the House and from any participation by video conference or by electronic voting systems for the remainder of this day's sitting.
Indigenous leaders are calling for his resignation, including former Liberal MP Jody Wilson-Raybould and the aforementioned Billy Morin. Even the NDP want him gone.
Pretendians continue to exist right across our country. This race shifting that's taking place is very concerning. What we're seeing is Indigenous or non-Indigenous people claiming to be Indigenous for the purpose of accessing benefits. We see this right across the country, whether it's in arts and media, whether it's in academia, or whether it's here in the House of Commons. We must get a grapple with the fact that people are abusing these systems for narrow benefit. This is happening across the country. We need to see action when it comes to ensuring the justice for Indigenous people, justice for the good people of Edmonton Centre, and that means Randy Boissonnault must resign.
But as for Trudeau, he's still, by and large, standing by his man.
In the meantime, I'm happy that he is continuing to lead on issues around jobs and employment and represent Alberta in our government.
Cocaine Randy, Pocahontas, has taken Liberal corruption and lies to a level I didn't even think was attainable. And that's saying something in Justin Trudeau's Canada. It's an embarrassment that Randy Boissonnault was the Alberta cabinet minister in Justin Trudeau's government. It's despicable that Randy Boissonnault has not resigned yet. What does somebody have to do to be removed from Justin Trudeau's party? Because lies, identity fraud, actual fraud using the power of the public purse to enrich yourself, and ethics violations don't seem to be enough. So what is? I guess it's because Randy is a good little soldier who checks all the right identity boxes and not someone who stands up to Justin Trudeau like former Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould, an Indigenous woman who was fired for refusing to go along with Justin Trudeau's protection of a corrupt Quebec engineering firm. Every day that Cocaine Randy remains in caucus and has not resigned brings more and more shame and disrepute to the House of Commons. If you agree with me that Randy Boissonnault has got to go, sign my petition at cocainerandy.com. My petition calls on Justin Trudeau to remove Randy Boissonnault, Pocahontas, from caucus, and it calls on Randy Boissonnault to resign in shame. Again, that's cocainerandy.com. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. How is it even possible that Randy Boissonnault has not been thrown out of the Liberal caucus? How is it possible that he hasn't mustered a bit of shame to resign? Maybe he needs a little help. Let's push him in the right direction. Go to cocainerandy.com and sign the petition.